TV studios in the States, in Israel. When I asked, why does Iran still develop ballistic missiles, I was responded with, this is not an article of the agreement, so don't speak about that. So the agreement, ladies and gentlemen, allows Iran to further develop its ballistic abilities. Second, I was asked, why does Iran support terrorism in Syria, in Lebanon, in Latin America, as we know that, with Hezbollah, and the whole world says nothing? Why? Don't speak about that. It's not an article in the agreement. So this is an agreement that speaks about a specific item, and it goes against the logic that Obama's administration taught us. What they taught us? That Iran could become friendlier after the agreement, where Iran is kind of a huge market these days of Citroën, Renault, Peugeot, with everything, because after the sanctions there is kind of a shopping spree of Europeans in the Iranian market. They taught us that Iran is an enemy of ISIS, and once I am going to have an agreement with Iran, Iran would support me against ISIS. You know, I mean, an Egyptian friend of mine said to me when I said that, Ukra fil mishmish. I don't know if you know what is that. Tell this Baba Mises to my grandmother. You know, I mean, the Iranians are very shrewd, very cunning. Listen, think of a situation where Iran is a state of 3 millennia. They are the most, I think, the best diplomats you can find all over the place. 3,000-year experience. Think of that. You know, Obama sent a token of gratitude to Iran in the Nowruz, the beginning of the year. It was kind of saying that, dear leader, this is the supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei, I respect your nation. The United States has been always tended to use diplomatic skills in order to solve our problems. You know, I want to go further, but you know, the answer was, have you talked about your states, which exist 250 years, by using the word always? Always? United States has been always? What is always? You're just a newcomer in this world. We are the cradle of civilization. In Persian, you have this two words which is called Tamaddon Bozorg. Tamaddon Bozorg in Persian, it is high civilization. Think of that. Iranians and Persians do think of themselves as superior to the others, especially when it comes to Arabs and Turks. They would like to have nukes, not to destroy Israel, but to show to themselves that they are able. And if somebody is going to block them, it has to do with their history. Here comes again the West, blocking our ability, make us inferior in comparison to the West. So it is being taken in a different language. And this is why I say culture should be actually included. You can't do geopolitics only by theories of political science. If you are not familiar with the mindset of the other, it would be very difficult for you to just run the deal or the show. And this is something that we are trying actually to make sure everybody knows. Many Iranians would like to have a change. Many young Iranians. We know that, you know why? We talk to them. How do we talk to them? Facebook, Twitter, every day, every hour. We know that there are many Iranians that have nothing to do with Israel. They even don't hate Israel. But Iran is an Islamic republic. And you have up there a bunch of ayatollahs who are holding the power, both when it comes to the economic and the political levels. You don't have parties there. I am being asked time and again, why can't we have an Iranian revolution like the Arab Spring? Why don't we have a restoration of the Shah? Where is the supporters of the Shah? I said they are in Los Angeles. They are in New York. They are not in Iran. So if you come to think of that, Iran is an Islamic republic. You don't have parties or opposition. Don't forget, in Tahrir Square in Cairo, with the breakout of the Arab Spring, opposition parties were on board with the people. So they carried the people and they pushed the opposition and gave it momentum. In Iran, you don't have opposition. It is just one party, one state, Islamic government, and what you have is ayatollahs. Until there is a change in the levels of power, there is no chance for revolution in Iran. So think of that, and Iran is a tough player. Iran would like to become hegemonic in the Middle East. Don't ask Israel. Don't ask Israel. Ask the Saudis. I have never been that knowledgeable about that until I visited in Doha and in some parts of the Arabian Peninsula. I met Arabs and I was shocked and bewildered while asking them about Iran, and they said they are not to be trusted. Period. They are not going to just explain logically what happened here and there. They are not to be trusted. If you were that foolish to concoct a deal, it means that I cannot count on you anymore. Period. And, you know, you can come up with a lot of explanations. The Saudis won't buy that. And I heard in my very ear the notion of الشيعة أنجس من اليهود, which means that, yes, we have problems with the Jews, but the Shia are much worse than the Jews. So you feel as if you are in the middle. It's not that problematic anymore. So this is where what I said, that the change is so dramatic, and we have to take it also with regard to Iran, because Iran's hegemonic ambition are a source of concern not only for Israel, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt, everybody. So this is the let us say, resolved, or let us say, the problematic and chaotic situation of the Middle East in just one word.
Thank you. So this is our final question before we let the audience ask questions for you. Israel is surrounded by several countries that are territorially contiguous, have weak states, face non-state militant actors with transnational links, and experience large refugee flows. To what extent could conflicts in countries such as Syria or Iraq have a contagious effect on Israel? What are the biggest challenges and opportunities that Israel faces in this new Middle East?
Okay. Well, in my last chapter of the book, I dealt with Israel in the Middle East. So, It is no secret that our geopolitical posture is being changed, and I talked about that. But there is a problem for Israel. Israel has to change its mode of thinking about itself. We have some problems from within. We have tribes in Israel. People do talk about Ashkenazi, Sephardi, secular religious, Tel Aviv, Jerusalem. You know, it seems that we are starting quarreling among ourselves when the situation, geopolitically speaking, is being a little bit relaxed. When we have a war on our head, we are united. We are bold, courageous, and we are great. Now our job is to leave behind for our next generation an Israel that would become sort of a mix, which is very, very unique, not to be found elsewhere. I do afraid when I'm listening to my students, some of them would like to have high-tech. And you know, we are a startup nation. You know that. And by the way, actually, I was pretty amazed to hear from the financier correspondent today morning in my interview, that Israel is only second to the United States in investing in Mexico. Huge. Kind of a thing that would make us think that we are having contacts with many states in Latin America, in Africa. We have to go beyond the Middle East. Well, I would tell you, you know, we have problems in two main things. First of all, tactically, you have to deal not with states, but with, let us say, guerrilla or terrorist groups or anti-state actors. Take, for example, Hamas. You know, we are much stronger than Hamas. You know, we could have whipped them out in a minute from Gaza. But we can't do that. Why? We are a democracy. We have to stick to the political correctness. So how are we going to fight a movement which human life means nothing for them? Their leaders are hiding during the war in bunkers. And they are shooting at you from schools, hospitals, hoping that you would retaliate and hit children, ill people, or something like that, and to change the opinion of the international public opinion, the mind of the international public opinion. I would tell you, my job in Israel is, I think, becoming very, very important. Not because I talk to policymakers, explaining them about that there is no Syria anymore, no Iraq, you should just read the map differently. The thing is how to make sure that our grandsons and granddaughters in would-be Israel would know how to deal with future Israel. You know, if you are going to become a high-tech man and you think that you are a man of the world, and in the 21st century, if there is a problem in Israel, you can jump easily to the other side of the world. Well, this is a story of the Jewish history, but no more. What was proved now is that there is no chance for people to survive unless they have a state. And as far as I know, the only state the Jewish people have is Israel. Now we have to preserve Israel. We have to make sure that our next generations know what Israel means. It should not be taken for granted. But at the same time, we have to have Jewish Israel and a democratic Israel. So how are we going to build up this notion of Jewish and democratic Israel? This is our job. And it is very difficult. Why? Because it is a world which sells lies to its human beings. You have to stick to your origin. You have to. This is why we have to make sure that we are going to have our next generations running a nation, a startup nation in Israel, but at the same time, these people must be, or must understand what Judaism is. Respect Judaism. You don't have to be ultra-Orthodox. You don't have to pray, and I'm a secular person. I have nothing to do with religion in that sense. But Israel has to preserve its Jewish character. And at the same time to respect the otherness of the others. We have Palestinians. We have Druze. We have Circassians. We have Haredis. We have people of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. We have to build up an ethos that would help us out dealing with that. Think with me for a minute. Even in 200 years from now, when we are not here, I hope that I'm not offending somebody. We're going to have, even if we have a secured Jewish and democratic Israel, what we can do and know about this Israel, it would be small. Demographically speaking, it would be small, territorially speaking. So even in the best case scenario, we are few and far between. So we have to stick together, we have to respect the others, and we have to make sure that our next generations have kind of an idea of what Israel means. This is kind of a must in the 21st century. We can't have democratic Israel without Israel being Jewish, because we are going to lose our identity. We can't afford that. We can't have Jewish Israel without democracy, because this is not the Israel we would like to have. We don't want to have a halacha state. How are we going to build that? Education, acculturization, and a long process that we have to invest in. And this is something which is very, very difficult to get, but we are there to start dealing with that.
Doctor Feinstein, moderamos la sesión de preguntas. ¿Sí? ¿Alguien tiene alguna pregunta? A ver, voy a llevar.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, maybe you hear about the UNESCO and the human rights. They are trying to do something about religion and human rights in all this kind of religion. What do you think about this?
UNESCO, you said?
Yeah, UNESCO.
Well, you know, I don't believe in that. No. You know, I've been to the European Union, and I was presenting about ISIS, And in the end of that, I got kind of a question coming from Mogherini, asking me after the presentation, so tell me, Professor, what we should do in order to make ISIS getting closer to the negotiating table. When I heard that, I understood that there are some Western paradigms. Everything is negotiable, which is not in this case. I don't think that such committees, which are going to deal with human rights and religion, are what we should have. If you ask me about Islam, even about Judaism, I would ask Muslims to come with a united, strong camp, saying that ISIS is not accepted anymore. Fight against ISIS. You know what the problem with Islam, with Muslims? They keep silent. And as long as they are silent, they are taken by Europeans and others as if they accept what ISIS is doing. This is the exact recipe for inter-civilizational war. So you're going to talk about human rights and religion? Let the people coming from that religion deal with that. Not the UN. The UN is good for nothing. Good for nothing. So we have to deal with that in kind of a very prudent manner. And if we're going to see that people coming up, support them in Judaism, in Islamism, in Christianity, we're going to have a better world. You know why? We're going to have a different definition